Most men over 50 don't realize it when a woman is actually flirting with them. Not because they're clueless, not because they're too old to notice, but because the signals have changed. She's not going to giggle or touch your arm like a 20-something. She's not going to blurt out, "I like you" over coffee or ask you to dinner. Not at this stage in life. She'll test the waters quietly with a question. Soft, casual, disguised as small talk. But it's not small talk. It's a door. And if you don't walk through it, that door closes silently, without drama. And you won't even realize what you missed. You'll think, well, that was a friendly chat. She'll think, guess he's not interested. Here's the real problem. You didn't fail because you said the wrong thing. You failed because you didn't recognize what she was really asking. This video is about decoding that hidden moment, when a woman puts out a quiet invitation for connection, but you mistake it for politeness. We'll go through 8 subtle questions women use to test the waters. They don't want to chase. They don't want to risk being too forward. So they send a signal and wait to see if you're present enough to notice. And here's the kicker: at your age, you don't need to push harder. You just need to notice better. Because when you do, you'll start seeing warmth where you thought there was just kindness, and attraction where you once assumed you were invisible. Let's begin with the first question. But before we dive in, drop a comment below and say, "I'm ready to discover these hidden truths." That one sentence tells me, you're not like most men. You're paying attention. Question number 1. How old are you? Really? At first, it sounds like a harmless question, playful, maybe even flirty. But when she locks eyes with you and asks, "How old are you?" Really? She's not asking for a number. She already knows you're not 30. She's not looking for a trivia answer. She's measuring something deeper, your comfort in your own skin. She's reading between the lines. Do you carry your age with shame or with strength? And your response will speak volumes. If you flinch, dodge, or turn it into a joke, she might smile. She might laugh politely. But deep down, the energy shifts. Because she's not searching for youth. She's searching for presence, groundedness, proof that you're still alive in your life, not apologizing for the years that made you who you are. See, the men who stand out at our age aren't the ones fighting time. They're the ones who've made peace with it. Who can say, without blinking, old enough to know what matters, young enough to enjoy the ride, or even with a quiet grin, "You want my age or my attitude." I remember a man named Martin, 61, divorced, salt and pepper hair, dressed sharp. He told me about a moment at a quiet jazz bar just outside the city. She was smart, elegant, maybe in her late 40s. They were vibing. Then she leaned in, looked him straight in the eye, and asked, "How old are you?" Really, Rick thought he was being clever. He smirked and said, "Too old for you." She laughed, but not the way he hoped. He told me the spark dimmed, just like that. And later that night, he realized he didn't just dodge a question. He dodged a moment. That's what most men don't see. These aren't questions. They're invitations. And when you respond with deflection or self-doubt, she hears it clearly. As men age, we carry stories, wounds, fears we don't always speak. And she can feel it. So when she asks about your age, she's not asking if you're young. She's asking if you're still here. Don't reach for the punchline. Don't treat it like a test. treat it like a doorway, because when she asks, she's already halfway through. Question number 2. Why aren't you married on the surface? It sounds like a personal question, maybe even a little intrusive. But when a woman asks it, especially with a soft voice and curious eyes, she's not judging you. She's interested, just not in a way she wants to admit openly. She's not here to dig through your past. She's not craving a list of your heartbreaks. What she's really asking is much simpler. Are you emotionally available right now? Is there room in your life for someone like her? And this is where good men often fall short. Some go too deep, too fast. They unpack every old scar, divorce stories, regrets, drama. Others laugh it off with sarcasm. Marriage did it once, never again. Both types make the same mistake. They shut the door she just cracked open. What she's searching for isn't your resume. It's your readiness. The way you hold the moment. The way your answer feels. Are you still holding on to your past? Like a suitcase you never unpacked? Or have you finally made peace with it? The right answer isn't perfect. It's present. It's honest without being heavy. It sounds something like life kept me busy. But now, I've got space for something real. Or even I just hadn't met the right woman until maybe now. Let me tell you about Thomas. He's 66, a craftsman, loyal, humble, lost his wife early. He met a woman at a local book fair. They bonded over poetry. Of all things, one afternoon, she turned to him and asked, "So, how come a man like you isn't married?" Thomas froze. He said something vague about timing and loss, then changed the subject. A week later, she stopped coming. Later, he told me, "I thought she was just being polite, but she was thinking about us." That's how these moments work. They don't shout, they arrive quietly, dressed in questions that feel casual, until you realize too late that they were invitations all along. And psychologically, when a woman asks this, she's feeling something, but she won't risk going deeper unless you show her it's safe. If your answer sounds bitter, guarded, or cold, she pulls back. But if your tone is calm, clear, and open like a man who's healed, but still has room to grow, it tells her everything she needs to know. So next time someone asks, "Why aren't you married?" don't give her a reason to retreat. Give her a reason to ask what comes next. Question number 3, do you date younger women? This one catches many men off guard. Some hear it and think, she's flirting. Others tense up, wondering if it's a trap. But here's the truth. When a woman asks, do you date younger women? She's not asking for your dating resume. She doesn't care how many women you've dated, or their birth years. She's asking something far more subtle. Would you consider someone like me as more than a friend? She's feeling something, but she's cautious. She's not looking for a bold yes or a hesitant no. She's looking for a response that makes her feel safe, not judged, seen, not categorized. She doesn't want to feel like a type, or like you've got a lineup of women half your age waiting for a call. What she truly wants to know is, does this connection between us actually matter to you? And this is where a lot of men fumble. Some puff up, bragging about dating women in their 30s like they're collecting trophies. Others shut down, saying, "I'm way too old for you," as if to reject her before she gets the chance. Both answers miss the mark, Because what she's really asking is, do I have a chance here? The better response, grounded, calm, real. Something like, I don't date by age. I date by energy and connection. Or I care more about how a woman makes me feel than when she was born. Let me tell you about Derek. He's 58. Quiet confidence. Always well put together. Met a woman mid-40s at his favorite coffee shop. She asked about his book. They talked, laughed, connected, and after a pause in conversation, she asked, "So, do you usually date younger women?" Derek smiled, waited a moment, then said, "If the energy's right, age is just trivia. What matters is how we make each other feel." She didn't just smile, she leaned in. That conversation turned into something real. That's the power of presence. When a man responds, not with calculation, but with clarity. Because when a woman asks that question, it's not always about age. It's about permission. She wants to know if you'll meet her halfway without making her feel foolish for wondering. At this stage in life, attraction isn't about game. It's about recognition. It's about knowing how to answer in a way that keeps the door open without pressure, but with possibility. So when she asks, do you date younger women? Don't give her a reason to regret asking. Give her a reason to be glad she did. Question number 4. What kind of woman do you usually go for it? Sounds casual, like small talk over coffee. But when a woman asks you this, she's not just making conversation. She's scanning for signs. Clues about who you are, what you value, and whether or not she fits into the picture you've built in your mind. She's not asking you to list features like a dating profile. She's asking something deeper. Am I someone you could see yourself with? This is where a lot of men stumble. They hear the question and immediately go into list mode. I like women who are tall, athletic, funny, into travel, yoga, and maybe red wine. It sounds harmless. But what she hears is evaluation. Like you're building a prototype and she's being sized up. Even if she fits your description, something shifts. She feels like a checklist, not a person. Here's the truth. She's not looking to be idealized. She's hoping to be recognized. And that happens when you speak to energy, not image. Try this instead. I'm drawn to women who bring calm into chaos. Women who know how to be present, who don't need to prove anything, just grounded, real, and kind. Notice what that answer does. It invites her to reflect, not perform. She doesn't have to guess if she's pretty enough or interesting enough. She just has to feel into the moment and ask herself, could that be me? Let me tell you about a man named Derek. He's 58, a sculptor, quiet soul, deeply observant. He once told me about a woman he met at a farmer's market. They connected over a conversation about handmade pottery. It was light, easy, organic. A few weeks later, while sitting under a tree with coffee, she looked at him and asked, "So, what kind of woman do you usually go for?" Derek didn't flinch. He smiled slowly and said, "I'm drawn to women who carry peace, not because they're trying, but because it's just who they are." She didn't say much in that moment, but later, as they were packing up, she lingered, looked back, and said softly, "I think I needed to hear that." Here's what many men miss. These questions aren't traps. They're invitations, subtle offers for emotional connection. And when you answer with presence instead of performance, You give her permission to be curious, to imagine something real with you. So next time she asks what kind of woman you go for, don't describe a fantasy, describe a feeling. Because if she's asking, she's already wondering if that feeling could start with her. Question number 5. Are you always this charming? It usually comes wrapped in a smile. Light-hearted, playful, almost flirtatious. But beneath that softness lies a quiet test. When a woman asks, "Are you always this charming?" she's not just complimenting you. She's offering an opening, a spark, and watching to see what you do with it. She's testing whether you can hold the moment, stay present, stay calm, stay connected. Most men don't recognize it. They hear the compliment and stumble. They panic a little, so they deflect. They joke. They say something like, "Only on Tuesdays," or "Guess I'm having a lucky day." It seems harmless. But what actually happens? The spark fizzles. The moment folds, and the door she cracked open, it quietly shuts. Here's what she's really asking. Can you hold warmth without squirming? Can you meet me where I'm standing without shrinking back or making it weird? She's not asking for performance. She's asking for presence. A better response. Still playful, but rooted. Not cocky confident. Try this. Only when I'm around someone who makes it easy. Or I try to save it for conversations that feel real. Those words do something subtle. They meet her energy. They show her you're aware. They show her you're not afraid of connection, even if it's tender, even if it's unfamiliar. Let me tell you about a man named Raymond. He's 66, retired jazz musician, carries himself with quiet rhythm and slow certainty. He met a woman at a local art exhibit. They ended up talking about Miles Davis, heartbreak, and handmade furniture. Somewhere between the laughter and the stillness, she leaned in and said, "Are you always this charming? Or is it just me?" Raymond looked her in the eye and said, "I could ask you the same question." And she smiled, not politely, not shyly, but fully. She told him later. That was the moment everything shifted. Because he didn't run from the compliment, he received it with grace and gave it back. That's what this question is about. Not ego, not charm, but chemistry. It's an emotional handshake, an invitation to play, to connect, to explore. Without pressure, without pretension. So when a woman asks if you're always this charming, don't shrink, don't deflect. Just meet her, right there, in the spark she's brave enough to offer. Question number 6. Why don't you have a girlfriend now? At first, this question seems simply, even casual. But don't be fooled. When a woman asks, "So, how come you don't have a girlfriend?" she's not making idle conversation. She's testing the waters gently. What she's really asking is there space in your life, in your heart, or have you shut that door and thrown away the key to many men? Without realizing it, respond in ways that sound closed off. They say, "I'm set in my ways. I enjoy my freedom." Or even worse, relationships just aren't worth the trouble anymore. They think they're being honest. But what they're really doing is sending out a signal, one that says, "I'm emotionally unavailable. I've stopped trying. I've stopped hoping." But here's the truth. She's not just asking if you're single. She's asking if you're still available mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. She wants to know if there's still a spark inside you, or just ashes. The right answer, if it's true, is one that leaves room for possibility. Try this instead. Life kept me busy, but I've always stayed open to something real. Or, I was waiting for the right energy, not just a relationship. That kind of response. It doesn't just sound good, it feels good. It carries hope. It invites curiosity. Let me tell you about Martin, 72. Refined, quietly confident. He met a woman at a rooftop wine, tasting one autumn evening. They talked about books, travel, and music. Then she leaned in and asked, "So, why don't you have a girlfriend?" Martin didn't dodge. He didn't joke. He said, "I spent a long time learning how to be at peace with myself. Now I'm ready to share that peace with someone who sees it." She didn't stop smiling the rest of the night. See, this question isn't about explaining your past. It's about revealing your present. From a psychological view, this is one of those test for safety questions. She's quietly asking, is it safe for me to feel something here? If your answer is defensive, bitter, or dismissive, she'll close the emotional window. But if your answer is warm, grounded, and just a little open-ended, it says yes, you're welcome here. So when a woman asks why you're still single, don't give her a reason to walk away. Give her a reason to stay a little longer. And lean in. Question number 7. Would you ever date someone like me? This is it. The moment most men don't even realize they've been waiting for. When a woman asks, would you ever date someone like me? She's not making a joke. She's taking a risk. It might be disguised in a soft laugh or playful tone, but underneath it is one of the most vulnerable things she can say. Because this time, she's not asking about your type. She's asking if she is enough. See, it takes courage to ask that, real courage. And most men don't know how to handle it. They either freeze, fumble, or dodge the moment completely. Some respond with, maybe, I guess I haven't thought about it. Or worse, they panic and change the subject. And just like that, the opening she created, it disappears. Not because she didn't mean what she said, but because she felt alone in it. This question isn't about flattery. It's about hope. She's hoping she still has that spark, that she can still stir something in a man who sees her not as an option but as a woman. So, how should a man answer? Not with a pickup line, not with strategy, just presence, just truth. Try saying, I'd be lucky if I could. Or, I think I'd be a fool not to. Then stop. Let that answer breathe. Let her feel the honesty in your silence. Because in that stillness, she'll hear everything she needs to. I remember a man, David, 64, quiet, humble, former school teacher. He told me about a walk he once took with a woman he met through a local book club. They'd been spending time together, gently testing the waters. Then, one autumn evening, she looked at him, eyes uncertain, and asked softly, would you ever date someone like me? David didn't rush. He smiled, held her gaze, and said, only if I'm lucky enough to get the chance. That was it. And she reached out, took his hand, and they just kept walking. That's the beauty of it. It's not a trick question. It's an invitation. She's not asking for a promise. She's asking to be seen, to be wanted, still. So when you hear this question, don't minimize it. Don't joke your way out. Just meet it fully, because that's what she'll remember, not the answer, but the man who made her feel real again. Bonus: non-verbal clues matter too. Not every question is spoken, and not every invitation arrives wrapped in words. In fact, some of the most revealing moments between a man and a woman happen in complete silence. When she leans in a little closer, when her gaze lingers just a second longer than it should, when her laugh feels warmer than necessary, or when she subtly mirrors your movements, those are not coincidences. Those are signs, quiet, graceful signs that she's not just listening, she's feeling something. You see, women, especially those with life experience, don't always say what they mean outright. Not because they're playing games, but because they've learned that being too forward can backfire. So instead, they speak with body language, eye contact, proximity, and subtle shifts in energy. And if you're too distracted, too logical, too cautious, you'll miss it all. She won't repeat the message. She'll simply pull away and protect herself. I once spoke with a man named Malcolm. He was 72, an ex-Marine turned teacher, stoic, observant, and quiet by nature. He hadn't been on a date in over a decade. He met a woman at a jazz night downtown, smart, graceful, with a spark in her eyes. Over the course of several evenings, she began sitting closer. She'd laugh at his dry humor. She'd ask thoughtful questions. One night, she touched his hand briefly during a story. Malcolm didn't pull away, but he didn't lean in either. He told me later, "I wasn't sure what it meant, so I let it pass." Weeks later, she stopped coming. That's when it hit him. That moment was her asking me to notice her, and I didn't. That's the thing. Non-verbal cues are not loud. They're delicate offers. They come gently, and they leave quietly when they're not received. From a psychological perspective, humans are wired to pick up these microsignals. It's how we formed trust before language even existed. The way someone tilts their head when they're curious, the shift in breath when they're emotionally open, the instinctive lean-in when something resonates. But after years alone, or after heartbreak, many men start second-guessing their instincts. We dismiss her eye contact as friendliness. We tell ourselves that little touch on the arm was just polite, and we brush off her laughter as habit. But what if she was reaching out? What if that moment was her whispering, "I see you. Do you see me?" This isn't about over-analyzing every gesture. It's about staying present. It's about learning to feel again, to see what's in front of you, instead of just listening for what you want to hear. So the next time a woman stands a little closer, or lingers at the end of a conversation, or holds your gaze when she doesn't need to, pause. Don't rush to fill the silence. Don't change the subject. Don't look away. Ask yourself one question: is she saying something without saying it? Because the most beautiful truths in love, especially later in life, aren't shouted. They're offered in silence to the man who's still paying attention. Final reflection. I respond, like the man you are. By now, you've seen how subtle attraction can be, especially after 50. The questions don't always sound romantic. The signals aren't loud, but they're there. Quiet invitations, wrapped in casual words and lingering glances. Waiting for the kind of man who doesn't need to perform, just respond with truth. And when a woman leans in and asks, "Are you always this charming?" or "Would you ever date someone like me?" what she remembers isn't the exact words you said. She remembers how you carried yourself. Did you rush to impress? Or did you stay calm? Did you meet the moment with presence? Or did you dodge it with a joke? Because at this stage of life, authenticity means more than performance. Women remember the men who make them feel safe enough to be real, the men who don't talk over silence, the ones who don't try to fill every gap with cleverness. So, here's what I want you to hold on to. You don't need to chase. You don't need to charm your way through every moment. You've already lived a life full of lessons. And now it's about knowing when someone sees your worth without you having to explain it, and being brave enough to show up fully when that moment comes. Let your posture be open. Let your voice carry confidence, not ego. Let your energy say, I'm here. I've got nothing to prove, but everything to share. And if something meaningful begins, it's because both of you came without masks. Because when a woman senses that steadiness in you, that grounded energy that doesn't flinch or pretend everything changes, she softens, she leans in, she lets her own performance drop. And now, it's not just small talk. It's not a game. It's connection. As we wrap up, I want you to do something simple. Think back to the last few conversations you've had with a woman. Were there moments you rushed past too quickly? Was there a question that meant more than you realized? That's okay. The beauty of awareness is that it gives you the chance to try again with new eyes and a steadier heart. And next time it happens, next time that quiet signal appears, don't overanalyze. Don't retreat. Just stay calm. Stay real. You don't need to become someone else. Just be the man who listens without fear, who leads without force, and who speaks without pretending. If this message meant something to you, take a second to like, subscribe, and tap the bell icon. Your support helps us reach more men like you, who still have so much life and love ahead.